Number 10. Tongue tira. Looking like an oversized pair of scissors, it could effortlessly cut the victim's tongue. Their mouth would be forced open with a device called a mouth opener, and then the iron tongue tirer would uncomfortably twitch the tongue with its rough grippers. Once a firm hold was maintained, the screw would be firmly tightened and the victim's tongue would roughly be torn out. Number 9. The chair of torture. Also known as the Judas chair, it was a terrible, intimidating torture device that was added to dungeons in the Middle Ages. Used until the 1800s in Europe, this chair was layered with 500 to 1,500 spikes on every surface with tight straps to restrain its victim. Made of iron, it can also contain spaces for heating elements beneath the seat. It was often used to scare people into giving confessions as they watched others being tortured on the device. Number 8. The Brazen Bull. The Brazen Bull was a hollow brass statue crafted to resemble a real bull. Victims were placed inside, usually with their tongues cut out first. The door was shut, sealing them in. Fires would then be lit around the bull. As the victim succumbed to the searing heat inside, he would thrash about and scream in agony. The movements and sounds, muted by the bull's mass, made the apparatus appear alive, the sounds inside like those of a real bull. This effect created additional amusement for the audience, and served the added benefit of distancing them from the brutality of the torture, since they couldn't directly see the victim. Number 7. Rat torture. Being in an enclosure with rats is torture enough. But apparently, this is not enough for medieval times. One of the most sadistic of all torture techniques involved having a cage with one open side strapped against the victim's body. It would then be filled with large rodents and a heating element which would be placed on the other side of the cage. The rodents' natural instinct led them to flee the intense heat. In order to escape, they would burrow through the victim's body with fatal results. Number 6. Breast ripper. Known in another form as the iron spider or simply the spider, was a torture instrument mainly used on women who were accused of adultery or self-abortion. The instrument was designed to rip the breasts from a woman and was made from iron, which was usually heated. The tool was used popularly in the Free State of Bavaria, a state in Germany, in 1599, and in parts of Germany and France until the 19th century. Number 5. Iron Maiden. This torture device consisted of an iron cabinet with a hinged front and spike-covered interior, sufficient enough to enclose a human being. Once inside its conical frame, the victim would be unable to move due to the great number of steel spikes impaling them from every direction. The interrogator would scream questions at the victim while poking them with jagged edges. Number 4. The breaking wheel was a torture device used for capital punishment from antiquity into early modern times for public execution by breaking the criminal's bones, bludgeoning him to death. As a form of execution, it was used from classical times into the 18th century. As a form of post-mortem punishment of the criminal, the wheel was still in use into 19th century Germany. Number 3. Spanish donkey. One of the torture devices during the Spanish Inquisition and medieval ages, this is probably one of the most gruesome of them all. The victim is put astride, naked, on a donkey-like apparatus, which is actually a vertical wooden board with a Sharpie wedge on top of it. After that, the torturer would add varying weights to the victim's feet until finally the wedge sliced through the victim's body. Number 2. Saw torture. In this method, the victim is hung upside down, so that the blood will rush to their heads and keep them conscious during the long torture. The torturer would then saw through the victims' bodies until they were completely sawed in half. Most were cut up only in their abdomen to prolong their agony. Number 1. Impalement. Given his name, it should come as no surprise that this was the most favored method of execution by Vlad the Impaler. In 15th century Romania, the victim was forced to sit on a sharp and thick pole. When the pole was then raised upright, the victim was left to slide down the pole with their own weight. It could take the victim 3 days to die using this method, and it has been said that Vlad once did this to 20,000 people all while enjoying a meal. Thanks for watching.